So we're discussing Hume. We know that Hume is going to give us an argument that a perfect being does not exist, and it's going to involve natural evil. And this critical question for that argument is all natural evil for the best? And to understand that question and to figure out what we think the answer is, we need to know what we mean when we say for the best. And in particular, we need to distinguish the idea of something's being worth it and something's being for the best. Because it's easy to get mixed up about these in this context, and in particular to confuse them. So we're going to now see what the difference is between these two ideas, and then we'll get back to Hume's argument. So these examples aren't going to have anything to do with God. So pretend that you're the blue person, and the red person comes to you and says, "Give me $500." And you say, "Well, how will I benefit?" The person doesn't threaten you, no threats or anything. They just say, "You won't." But there's no threat, just no costs for no benefit, no costs, just nothing happens. And you probably say no thanks. Now, why not? Well, because it's not worth it, right? It's a cost to you. You lose $500 and there's no benefit, not even any avoided costs. There's just no reason for you to do it unless you have some sort of, you care about red, which we assume, let's say you don't particularly. You don't especially care about their welfare. They're not that important to you in that way. So let's say red instead says, "You will get a pack of gum." And you might still say, "Well, no thanks." Now you're getting some benefit, but it's very small. It's not worth it. There is a benefit, but the cost outweighs the benefit. $500 is not worth a stick of gum, or 35 sticks of gum even. So red says instead, "You will get a new Xbox." Now at this point, you might start to wonder, well, maybe do I want one? Right? This is about what this is what the latest version of Xboxes go for, and you might really enjoy playing video games, and then you think, the benefit might very well outweigh the cost, and then it might be worth it. You might say, "Yeah, I'll do this." Now suppose instead that red says, "Oh, I will give you 2 new Xboxes," and let's say that we can really trust whatever red says is true, so you're going to get 2 of them. Now at this point you think, that's definitely worth it. Even if I don't like video games, I could buy both of them. I would buy both of them for $500 and then turn around and sell each of them for, $400 or $500, and I would make money. Or maybe I would keep one and sell the other, and I would make money, or I wouldn't maybe make money overall, but I would at least have an Xbox and more money than I would if I just went out and bought an Xbox, or maybe I give them away to my friends or whatever. But at this point, right, the benefit outweighs the cost. In this case, it's worth it. Now, should you do it? That's another question, because you might wonder, well, maybe even though it's worth it, there's something else I could do with $500. I could do something even better with $500 than get these 2 Xboxes. Let's suppose that there wasn't anything better that you could do with the $500. Then buying the 2 Xboxes for $500 would be the best option. It would be for the best. It would be worth it, and it would be for the best. But now let's suppose that green comes along, and green is also trustworthy, just like red is, and green says, "Give me $500, and you ask, "How will I benefit?" And green says, "You will get a new Tesla." Now anyone who actually said you're going to get a brand new functioning Tesla for $500, you immediately should think there's a scam here. But let's suppose that really, in fact, green is totally trustworthy. Both they're sincere and they know about the Tesla, and so when they're just being super generous to you, think, well, that is worth more than 2 Xboxes, that Tesla, because even if I don't want the Tesla, I can sell it, and I can get a lot more for it than the 2 Xboxes. And so what's my best option? Well, I now have 2 options that are worth it. I could buy the 2 Xboxes, and that's worth it. I'm better off afterwards if I buy the 2 Xboxes. Or I could buy the Tesla, and I'd be much better off if I buy the Tesla. And so what do I want to do? What do you do if you were in this situation? You want the new Tesla, and that's what you would choose to do with that $500. If you had $1,000, you could do both. But if we're just asking what are you going to do with just one chunk of $500, then it would be the best option in that case will be to buy the new Tesla. So if your options are you have $500, you can get either nothing for it, that's not worth it, or a pack of gum, that's not worth it, and those are not for the best. Better to keep the money. Or you could get one Xbox. That might be worth it, but is it for the best? That depends upon what the alternatives are. If you could get two Xboxes and those are your only options, you can get either nothing, a pack of gum, one Xbox, or two Xboxes. Well, the two Xboxes are definitely worth it, and there are no better alternatives, and so it's for the best. Now, if you have different options, then the situation changes. So if your options are these, either a Tesla or two Xboxes, well, both your options are worth it because in both cases, the benefits outweigh the costs. But only one of them has if you're buying the two Xboxes, there's a better alternative now, namely buying the Tesla. Whereas for the Tesla, that's your best alternative. That there are no better alternatives. And so buying the Tesla, that's for the best. Buying the two Xboxes, that's not for the best. And so there's a difference between being worth it, because both options are worth it, and being for the best, because in that situation, the Tesla is for the best and the Xboxes are not. Right? You can spend the $200 and the $500 in different ways. Both worth it because the benefits outweigh the costs, but only the second is for the best because it has the best value, the best balance of benefits and costs. It has lots of benefits and the same cost. The $500 for two Xboxes has some substantial benefits, but nowhere near as much. And so it's not for the best if those are your two options. So worth it, the benefits outweigh the costs, and options being for the best, it's the best option. This is given some background assumptions we're not going to worry about. These definitions will work for what we're doing. And then a cost is for the best if it's a cost of the best option. So for the best costs, those make sense to bear because you take your best option and those costs just come along with it. That you're doing the best you can and unfortunately there are those costs. But if a cost is not for the best, then it doesn't make sense to bear because you could have done better, and so there's no reason to bear that cost. So we can now think about natural evil and a perfect being. A perfect being, remember, is going to always do what's for the best. They always want to do what's for the best because they're perfectly good. Because they know everything, they know what would be for the best, and because they're all powerful, they can do it. So they will do it because that's what they want to do, and they know that that will get them what they want. So they always do what's for the best. And so specifically with respect to natural evil, disease, hurricane, earthquake, and so on, the perfect being would create natural evil that's for the best. But if there was natural evil that's not for the best, then that the perfect being would not create and would not allow, because it's not for the best, and the perfect being would know that and would be able, being all-powerful, to either not create it or to prevent it from arising. So we could say this: a perfect being creates or allows natural evil when only if that natural evil is for the best. And now we can move closer to Hume's argument against the existence of a perfect being. So the first premise is that some natural evil is not for the best. The second premise is that a perfect being will allow natural evil only if it's for the best. And those are the two premises for the conclusion. Is it valid? Yes, it is. If those premises are true, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But if they were, then the conclusion would also be true no matter what. And we don't need any more knowledge to figure that out. Are the premises true? Well, we just said that this one is pretty plausible, that a perfect being would allow natural evil only if that evil were for the best. But is there natural evil that is not for the best? Is this premise true? Well, that's just not at all obvious at this point. We may not be super clear on what natural evil is. We're going to want more examples of that. And even if we are, it might not be obvious whether or not that natural evil that's out there, is it for the best or not? Not obvious. Right? So this premise is unclear, and that's what we need to investigate. We're going to have to... certainly it appears there's natural evil because there's things like diseases and hurricanes and earthquakes, that they're at least partially natural evil. Are they for the best? Well, according to Hume, he's not absolutely certain about it, but he's almost certain that there is natural evil out there that is not for the best. But is he right about that? Well, he needs to argue for that. He knows he needs to argue for that, and that's what he tries to do with the discussion of the four circumstances. The discussion of the four circumstances is supposed to provide evidence that there is natural evil that is not for the best. And so that's what we will look at in the next video. Can Hume establish this claim? What kind of evidence can he give that there is natural evil that is not for the best?